All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now that the Moscatos are here, the party can begin. I'm going to call you out. So my name is Trip Darren. I am the head of school here at Blue Ridge. My wife and I moved here after a stint abroad in 2006. So you can do the math. We're closing in on 19 years. July will mark 19 years. Suffice to say, we love it here. We thought we'd be here 2 or 3 years, and now we're coming on 2 decades. We've raised both our children here. Our daughter is a senior in high school, going to Virginia Tech next year. Go Hokies! And our son Jake is a current 9th grader here at Blue Ridge and having a great year. Although apparently my wife told me after her conferences today that he needs to work on math. Mr. McDonald gave him a stern warning. This town hall is by design informal. We want to really get to what interests you. I have heard, thanks to Andrea Fox, our Parent Association president, that we have kind of a state of the school thing that I'll run through, and then Corey Woods will talk about our rites of passage expeditions, which are coming up. Lots of questions about that, I'm sure. And then Amber Wilkins, who normally speaks about all things academics and college, today will speak about kind of how we culminate the student's experience, all the things we do at the end of the year, and the new twist that we're doing this year at graduation. And then we'll turn, with what time is left, to questions from you all. We really want to get to that, so I'll try to be as quick and brief as I can be. But first of all, how about them Barons yesterday, right? The trifecta. We got the trifecta wins: tennis, baseball, lacrosse, just dominating. I love to see that. And then yesterday, what an awesome idea that Elaine and Jack, Warren, our Dean of Curriculum, and many others had, to have what we've done annually on a random night in the spring, the Student Work Showcase. We moved that to Parents Weekend so that you all would get a chance to see yourselves what our boys are doing in class. And I got to participate as a parent myself, and I was just blown away at the presentations, and I hope you got to see kind of a flavor of what your boys are doing in our academic programs. Great day yesterday. This year, so state of the school, I'm going to start with enrollment. This year, after kind of a 4-year post-pandemic rebuild, we opened the school back at full capacity, 182 boys, added 12 more over the course of the mid-year, transfer students from other schools. So we have been at capacity the entire school year, and it feels great to have full classes, full dining hall, full sports teams, full arts programs, etc. And with a small senior class of only 47 boys, we are forecasted to be full yet again this coming year. So that's a very great thing. That's always the principal measure, in my opinion, of the health of the school is full enrollment. And we have an amazing student body. Again, you've heard me say that before. If you've seen these speeches or seen my emails and things online, an amazing student body filled with incredible scholars and athletes and artists and musicians, young men of character doing incredible things. We have boys from over 20 U.S. states and over 24, actually this year 24, foreign countries across 5 continents on the globe. It is a global community. And this year's student body feels really strong, feels like a great student body. And for that not to be, so that that's not empty words, I always feel like I need to be backing that with data. 40% of our boys this year in the first semester earned honors or high honors mention this year, 40%. And 30% of the boys, this is the first year we actually went to semesters. We used to have trimesters. And we didn't switch the Barron Award. The Barron Award is for any student who has 0 or 1 write-ups on the trimester it used to be. Now it's the full semester, half a year. And think about that. You get written up for anything. There are probably 100 opportunities to get written up in any single day. Okay, if you're late to class, you're late to assembly, you're late to dining hall, you forget your belt, whatever it may be, you get written up. That's part of how we hold our boys accountable. That's part of the lines we draw in the sand to make sure they know kind of how we want them to behave and act. So to get written up is not the end of the world. It happens quite regularly. To have 0 or 1 for a half a year is incredible, and 30% of our student body won the Barron Award in the fall semester. And both those, that 40% honor roll, 30% Barron Awards, right now, it's early still, we still have a couple months to go in the school year, but we're tracking to be higher than that in the second semester. The weekly celebrations, you saw it yesterday in Assembly, the Barron of the Week Award, the Athlete of the Week Award, those could be daily. We see our boys doing incredible acts of citizenship and kindness every single day, and it's just, it's great to see our students in their daily lives. The 47 seniors this year, the class of 2025, have gotten into an impressive array of colleges. First, I want to mention, we've had our boys, this year's senior class, have gotten into 3 of the 5 U.S. service academies, including a first for Blue Ridge School, the U.S. Naval Academy. That's really impressive. Really great. In our school's history, we're now at 4 of 5. We're just lacking West Point. Amber, can you get on that, please? Okay. Other notable schools, and there are lots, and I encourage you to look at the whole college list because it's an impressive, diverse array of schools. But highlights include Clemson, Denison, George Washington, my alma mater, Virginia Tech, as I mentioned, go Hokies, Elon, Johns Hopkins, Hobart, RIT, Rutgers, the University of Richmond, University of Vermont, and of course, the University of Virginia. Our boys this year, 47 boys, have been awarded $6.8 million in college scholarship funding. That's outstanding. Great student body. Curricular programs, as sort of the next category that I wanted to just sort of speak to. I think you all have gotten a sense of this, and earlier this morning, a few parents joined me and some other school leaders in a session it was an open house. 7 families who were thinking about Blue Ridge came to visit the school today, and it was an impressive session. I'm very grateful to the current parents who attended that. Their remarks inspired me and just reminded me of how amazing are the people who work at this school, right? The teachers, coaches, and advisors who work with your sons every single day. They are an amazing group, and I see that every day, and you got to see it, I think, in depth this weekend. We have 60 people who work in the faculty and administration. Every one of those 60 serves in some direct student-facing role. All right, there's about 38 full-time faculty members, and then another 22 administrators or part-time faculty members who coach or teach or serve in some direct student-facing role. That's a ratio of about 3 to 1. All right, student body of 180 and 60 educators who work here. Your son is known at this school. And that is something that I think we all, again, me being here 19 years, sometimes I lose sight of. But this year, I've been reminded of it, having my son go through this school, and then receiving what we all parents get, the weekly communication from advisors or coaches or hall parents and teachers. My wife and I were blown away at the insights that his hall parent, he doesn't even live in the dorms, but he attends hall meetings with Rich Meredith's group in Middle West. The insights he had about Jake, the way that teachers have broken Jake's strengths and weaknesses in the classroom down have been amazing to us. Things that have not been noticed by previous schools. Jake is becoming a better person through his experience at Blue Ridge School. Again, I'm a data guy, so I always got to have things to back up my claim, right? So I'm telling you we have a world-class faculty and that your boys are known, but to sort of back that up, I'll offer some data from a survey we do every year. It's called the Student Connections Survey. And I mentioned we've done it every year for over a decade. It's a very simple survey. We hand out a spreadsheet. It used to be paper, now it's something they do on their phones. But it's a list of all the adults who work here. And the boys indicate if they have a connection with that adult or not. Very simple. It's amazing to me that our boys this year indicate every one of our teachers, of those 60 people that I mentioned, had at least 110 boys mention a connection with them. If you think about it, only 150 boys actually filled it out. There were like 30 guys that we couldn't track down for some reason. Out of 150, 110 was the average. So yeah, your son is known here. As I mentioned, my wife and I have been blown away, and thankfully Jake did mention that he had a connection with me. He was one of my 100. Every year we seek to hone our practice and make this school better. Those of you who attended this session back in the fall heard me announce 3 big new policy changes we made this year, and I kind of wanted to give you a status report on those. The first is the new cell phone policy. So we collect our boys' cell phones at 8 a.m. and they get them back after sports. This was met with lots of controversy and gnashing of teeth by the boys. Thankfully, they have acclimated. We did make a mid-year course change. We allowed our seniors to not have to abide by this policy, kind of in our hopes of getting them ready for what they'll face at college. And that's something that we will do again next year, probably earlier in the year. We'll probably start the year out still collecting phones, but maybe giving the seniors that freedom back earlier than we did this year. But the boys have gotten used to it, and I have heard mostly very positive things from parents and nothing but positive things from teachers. And I feel like, again, this is an area where we're sort of in the process of collecting data, but the results that I have seen so far from this new policy include things like this. It has absolutely strengthened the bonds of our community. We have a lot more in-person, human-to-human interactions that are happening all day long, and most especially at assembly or at chapel or at lunch. It has definitely decreased homesickness. That was a subject that came up today in the open house with prospective parents. Homesickness still happens, but that window of time was shortened because boys are almost forced, the new students especially, kind of forced to make friendships here. Not have that, moment by moment connection online with guys back home. Not that we're trying to remove those friendships by any means, but we want to obviously make them have the bonds here as well. So homesickness was decreased, friendships were strengthened. Certainly increased focus and engagement in class. You heard my high percentage of boys in the honor roll. Heightened awareness by our boys. We haven't just taken their phones away and not explained why. Heightened awareness on their part of the negative side effects of too much reliance on the cell phone. How some of them have realized for themselves that they felt they were addicted before this year. And in a kind of a heightened awareness of the boys themselves, realizing how they can take ownership of their own wellness and how the things they can do to promote their own wellness and health. So that's the new cell phone policy. The new morning routine, again, you may not be aware if you weren't here with us before, but this year, to sort of promote that ability to hand in those phones, we've required all boys to go to the dining hall first thing, so more boys are eating breakfast. They're being checked by 8 a.m. for their dress code, so they're on time to their first commitment of the day, far less write-ups in the morning. That's been a really positive change this year. And our new discipline system. The new discipline system, we still have elements of the former system where we do a lot of proactive education of our boys about how we want them to behave, the code of conduct, the value system that we want them to grab onto. And then, of course, the investigative phase, when things go wrong, when rules are broken, how we investigate that, how we adjudicate that through the Honor Council or the Disciplinary Committee. Those have remained the same, but this year we've added an important component that takes a lot from the philosophies of restorative justice. How we focus on the learning that happens when you make a mistake, right? Teenagers make mistakes. Teenage boys make daily mistakes. And when you make a serious mistake, you essentially offend the community, right? You have done something wrong to the community, and helping our boys be aware of that and the steps they can take to kind of build back their membership in the community, build back the trust from fellow members of the community. That's been an important part of this year's discipline system. And again, we'll have better data down the road, but I have seen a substantial decrease this year in repeat offenses, what the prison system might call recidivism. We've had a big decrease in that this year, happily. More of our boys have come to understand how their negative behavior impacts the community, and they want to stop that, right? And they've learned how to stop that through that restorative justice portion. And because boys are learning from those lower level mistakes, we've had far less dismissals. Typically at this time of the year, about 7% of the student body has been dismissed by me. So you can do the math, that's maybe 12, 13, 14 boys any given year. We've had 5 this year. We've actually cut our attrition rate by more than half. And I attribute a lot of that to our quality of the student body, but also to this new discipline system. All right, the final thing before I turn it over to Corey Woods is I wanted just to share with you we still have a good healthy 2 months left in this school year, lots of great things planned for those next 2 months. But of course, I always am looking ahead at the next horizon. And for those of you who are not senior parents, I want to share with you a bit about next year. I am very happy to announce that with continued full enrollment, we are looking at the prospect of increased funding for our operating budget. That will allow us to do a number of great things that will impact your boys. First and foremost, we're adding 2 full-time teachers to our faculty. One will be in our learning center. That'll be 2 sections probably of Fishburne Learning Center teaching, plus 2 sections of language training with our international students. So that's 1 new teacher. And then we're also adding a teacher to the math and science department. Another combo teacher will probably teach 2 math and 2 science sections. And these faculty additions will allow us to decrease class sizes. All right, we're not increasing enrollment. We've had higher class sizes this year than we have typically had back to full enrollment. So it will allow us to decrease class sizes, especially in 9th through 11th grades, and allow us to increase course offerings. Many offerings. We can answer questions if you have any, but most notably 3 new AP courses will be offered next year. And that will bring our AP total to 8 next year. Other things that this higher budget funding will allow: 20% increase to the food service budget. Hey, give it up! We heard you. We heard you, parents. I don't promise your boys will ever love Sage. They're always going to find something to fuss about. But we've increased funding for next year, and I anticipate the boys will be at least a modicum more satisfied. Student program funding will also increase by 25%, and that'll allow more weekend offerings. It'll allow us to do the new ropes program that Corey's going to talk about in a minute. Class excursions, guest speakers, all things that directly impact your boys. And then finally, a 50% increase to our funding of technology. Mr. Peterson's very happy about that. That'll allow us to have more gadgets in our makerspace, Promethean boards for classrooms, and further upgrades to our Wi-Fi system. He twisted my arm and I had to give in. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Corey Woods, Director of Natural Resources, Outdoor Program Teacher, and leader of the Rites of Passage Expeditions. Mr. Woods.
Thanks, Trip. Again, my name is Corey Woods. My wife and I moved here at the beginning of the 09-10 school year, and we've also raised both of our children here on campus. And my oldest son, Edmund, is in the 9th grade. He left with the Peloton this morning with the bike racers and is now wandering around the back roads somewhere. But I'm here to share about ropes, which hopefully you've heard about because they're coming up in a week. In 1 week, exactly a week, there'll be a lot more flurry on campus as students are preparing for ROPES. That's an acronym. It stands for Rites of Passage Expeditions. These are our grade level annual expeditions. I'm going to start off with a common topic that you've heard of a lot. Character education is what we do here. The main touch points of our co-curricular program, whether that's residential life, advising, athletics, Saturday morning, student leadership roles, and so on, they center on character education. And the Rites of Passage Expeditions, ROPES, these are the flagship program of Blue Ridge School's character education program. The 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders all have unique programs that are designed to encourage reflection and dependence on the code of character values. These hang in all the classrooms. We use them as a reference point. And in the past year, it's gone over a little bit of a facelift. It used to be known as the Code of Conduct, and we've since kind of revised some of the terminology and focused on some connections with a lot of existing programs that we have. But ropes serves as the opportunity to intentionally infuse the students' experience with discussions surrounding core values of purpose, discipline, fortitude, citizenship, knowledge and wisdom, and honor. I'll leave this up here. It's a great document that I encourage you to check out. So a little bit of history of ropes. This program, at least in concept, started over 20 years ago. Since then, each year, our ninth graders have participated in a multi-day backpacking trip. This specific program began initially going down and visiting North Carolina outward bound, and it's evolved over the years, but we're still doing essentially the same thing with the ninth graders. In exactly 1 week, I'll be meeting with the freshmen, and we're going to be packing backpacks, tents, sleeping bags, stoves, food, and we're going to head into Shenandoah National Park for a 4-day, 3-night backpacking trip with all the freshmen in 4 small teams doing different routes in the national park just right here in our backyard. And then just over 10 years ago, we began to homebrew unique experiences for each of the other classes to mark meaningful stages in their adolescence and their Blue Ridge School experience. Each expedition aims to foster kind of a shared experience with their peers and also capture on the rite of passage or coming of age theme by acknowledging pivotal points in students' maturation and preparation for taking on new roles and responsibilities. Most rites of passage for boys in cultures throughout history and throughout the world share certain similarities that we aim to reflect in our programming. These are a significant personal challenge that take place typically outdoors and are intentionally designed to reflect on the past, look forward to the future, and deepen one's connection within a community. A meaningful part of each of our programs is to present each student with a challenge. This may be a new experience to work through with peers. This builds a sense of camaraderie and fosters individual growth. And these are challenges that we present regularly, whether it's in athletics or in the classroom. We're just kind of taking this as an opportunity to really kind of hone in on that and create unique experiences. These challenges, however, can range from interpersonal tasks like working closely to accomplish a goal with a small team of classmates or meeting and serving someone with specific needs, or appear as a physical task like backpacking or whitewater rafting. The major benefits of ropes is that within the great challenges and adventures that take place, there's also time to reflect, debrief, and discuss these experiences. As you know, as Tripp was alluding to, typically our schedule at Blue Ridge is very structured and routine with very defined expectations. Ropes provide really a break in the predictable and regimented to provide really a truly unique experience for our students and time to slow down and digest the value of what everyone will be participating in over the course of the program. Each grade is a little bit different, and please know that we intentionally don't provide students with all the information. You've probably maybe gotten a call from your son that he has no idea what's happening and everything seems vague and not communicated, or maybe you're the one that's called your son and said those things. We've been intentionally vague. It's on purpose. We give our students a packing list of important items and tell them when to show up ready for an adventure. That anticipation of the unknown is a valuable element of these programs. That is very much ingrained in facilitating the programs. But with that said, I'm happy to tell you the day-to-day schedule. There aren't any secrets. We just don't want the boys to get lost in those details, and we want them to approach the program with an open mind and a sense of adventurous anticipation. Again, ropes is in 1 week, beginning the week of April 14th, and they kind of lead into Easter long weekend. As again, Tripp alluded to, I do want to give a quick little snapshot into next year before I talk, just to give it a little bit of a summary of each individual program. Next year, in 2025-2026 school year, we're going to be approaching the Roach schedule slightly different. 9th and 10th programs will be in the fall, October 6th through 9, right before the fall long weekend. And the 11th and 12th grade programs will remain before the Easter long weekend, March 29th through April 1. This allows us to keep developing really robust programming by spacing out the demand on faculty and transportation and facility use, while also addressing the core needs of different grades in different ways. 9th and 10th graders benefit from starting off the year with a meaningful community building event. And near the tail end of the school year, the 11th graders benefit from focusing on transitions to new leadership roles and responsibilities, and the 12th graders benefit from a meaningful concluding event to their Blue Ridge School experience. So just know that that shift is happening, and we're really being purposeful on the timing within the academic schedule. So just to give a very brief snapshot of what the students are going to be doing. Again, I'm happy to kind of break down the day-to-day if you really want to know. 9th graders, again, they participate in a 4-day, 3-night backpacking trip right here in Shenandoah National Park, which we can see from campus. That's really cool. There are very few schools that you can see a national park from campus, so I'm really excited that our 9th graders really get an immersive experience there. Our 10th graders, the sophomores, actually stay on campus each night. They participate in a program that's really centered on the themes of compassion and gratitude. There's a day that includes a walking tour of Charlottesville, identifying key sites in the community, utilizing the public transportation system, and visiting Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. Another day, they host members of Faith Mission Home. That's a nearby boarding community for youth and adults with chronic intellectual disabilities. And the students will also be serving a local organization that provides food distribution to needy families in our community, and they'll also have some adventures here on campus and different team building activities. The 11th graders all travel to West Virginia. They do a day of service with Almost Heaven Habitat for Humanity, and they also go whitewater rafting in the New River Gorge, one of my favorite places in the world. 12th graders, seniors participate in a variety of activities both on and on campus over the course of about 5 days. The students are split into small teams, and there are 2 faculty with each team, and students work within these teams to accomplish an array of projects, challenges, and deep discussions throughout the course of the day. We have outside groups come in and share with them. It's always really a meaningful kind of culmination and bonding experience for the senior class. And yes, there's a big hike that happens within there too, which I'm sure you've heard about if you have a senior in your family. But that's, in a nutshell, the ROPES program. I'd love to chat with you if you have any questions about that later. But thank you so much for your time.
I am significantly shorter than my counterparts. I always say this every single time, so I'm going to kind of stand out to the side. But most of you have already heard from me. My name is Amber Wilkins. I'm our assistant head of school for academic programs, but I'm also our director of college counseling. I was asked to talk to you a little bit today about our graduation and our end of the year events. I think the theme of our conversation today is what are some of the changes, intentional changes that we're making to really inform what we do here. And in 42 days, I did the math, I counted back. Our boys have had a countdown probably even longer than I have. But in 42 days, our seniors will graduate from Blue Ridge. I have always appreciated, this is my 8th year here at Blue Ridge, I have always appreciated our graduation ceremony because it's rooted in tradition, it's rich in leadership experiences, it's a culminating experience for them to talk about sort of their pathway to the end. But it's also a reflection, sort of about what this place meant to them, what they got out of it, their purpose, their passion. And so last year, a handful of us faculty started to think, what would that do for our younger students to be able to see that experience, that graduation service, so that culminating experience. These boys get up, get their diplomas, hear from faculty about the purpose that they had on this place. Like, what could that do for their own personal growth, their own personal pathways? And we started to say, why don't we have them stay? I've worked at a variety of places where that's the norm. And I think the benefit of shifting our graduation schedule, moving it up a week, having our underclassmen stick here, will do wonders for their own personal growth. Okay, as ninth graders, to look up to the guys that they see as their student leaders, getting their diplomas, hearing about, again, the impact that they've had. The 10th graders, okay, I want to actually be like that student. I want to be like, Colby White, or I want to be like Oakley Fox, seeing that, at an early level. So I'm super excited that this is the change that we're making for this coming year. It's also rooted in tradition, our graduation service. So I kind of wanted to talk through a little bit about all the different traditions that the graduation service has. So one in particular is procession, okay? They get to learn from their teachers here on a day-to-day basis, okay? So faculty line up for a couple of different events here during the year. And our graduating seniors process through us, okay? At the end of graduation, okay, we actually get to process through them. Okay, so we actually get to stop by every single one of them and talk about the impact that they had on us. Okay, so that is another experience that our underclassmen get to see. Okay, to see that sort of back and forth that exists from 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. Okay, they get to hear from the student speakers. Okay, so one of the other traditions is that our senior class, we don't tell them who their graduation speaker is going to be. When I graduated, I went to a large public high school. I don't even remember who my graduation speaker was. Okay? But they get to pick who that person is. They get to hear from the faculty and staff who have had an impact on their lives and the students. So they get to hear those speeches, so that moment of sort of, here's what I would do, or here's what I learned, or here's what you can be. They get to hear that and witness that and see that. And it's all student-driven, so they vote on who they want to hear from. So that's another tradition that I think is really impactful for our graduation ceremony. We have a baccalaureate, which is another service. Some of you may have had that in college, but it is a reflectionary service, a non-denominational chapel service, where we can talk a little bit more about that reflection, okay? What have you learned? Where are you headed? What's your pathway going to look like? They hear from another speaker who they know, and they can have another sort of opportunity to reflect on sort of their futures, okay? And what maybe they can step out and do beyond the walls of Blue Ridge. So again, more tradition that we have here on campus. During the graduation service, we give out a variety of academic leadership awards, really rewarding the work that they do on a day-to-day basis. So we have 9 faculty-voted awards that our faculty get together to give out to seniors in the senior class. But not only that, there are academic awards. So students who are doing well or who have grown or blossomed in different classes, their faculty members will get up and give speeches about sort of, again, seeing that growth. So again, I get back at the fact that all of that takes place and our younger students are going to have a chance to see that, okay? A couple other traditions. We have a senior dinner, okay, the night before graduation, which is a great opportunity for students to invite some of their friends and their family and for you all to see the hard work and dedication that's gone in to get them to that point, and for you to be celebrated for the hard work and dedication that you put in to get them to that point. So we have a really nice sit-down dinner where they have a chance. There's really great photos on the table, a really good camaraderie, but we also get to toast them, all right? So each senior gets a toast by someone in the faculty or staff or even their friends, just celebrating them and highlighting them. So again, really cool things that happen in 42 days here on this campus. I'm excited for the change that we've made just so our younger students can see that as well. I think it's going to really reshape what we do here and for them to have sort of that aspirational, sort of thing to look forward to in the years to come. So that's all I got. Did I miss anything in terms of graduation? All right, thank you.
All right, so we've still got about 15 minutes or so. If you all have any questions, we'd be happy to address them. This is time for you all to have us speak to anything that you all want to know more about, from the small to the large.
My son mentioned that there's some new dorms.
Yeah.
Potential.
Yes, wow, he's in the know. He's in the know. So we are in the quiet phase of a large-scale campaign that everyone will hear a lot more about as we kind of get into the more public phases of it. But there is, within that campaign, we are envisioning the construction of a new dorm. It probably won't take shape for the next couple of years, but we're very excited about it. And it'll be a dorm dedicated for our seniors, and then it'll allow us to revise and refurbish the other dorms, where we down the road think of Booker as being the 9th grade dorm, and then Walsh for 10th and 11th. But I'm glad he heard about that. There's a lot of excitement that's starting to build about that new dorm project. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
It's more of an idea or
Sure,
suggestion.
please.
First of all, I loved assembly yesterday with the students, like
Yeah.
interviewing the coaches and just the weather report and how that was all done. I thought that, I know that's probably a little bit of a show for Parents Weekend, but I thought that was fantastic. So well done. But
Thanks.
thinking about the conferences, it hit me halfway through yesterday. I wish Ryan had been sitting in there with us, and I'm wondering if there's ever a thought of having a student-led parent-teacher conference. Like, let them reflect on where they are, what they could do better, and have them lead the parent-teacher conference, because now I'm going back and kind of grilling my son. Like, right? So, like, is there ever a thought of that, of having them still be dressed
Sure.
and have them lead the conference?
Yeah, I mean, we've had opportunities. I would encourage you to say too, if that is sort of what you want personally, encourage your son to go there and let the teachers know.
Okay, I didn't realize that was an option.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think
got it.
any teacher would say, please don't do this, don't have. I
Okay, great.
guarantee you they would all say, absolutely, I actually would appreciate that.
Great.
Because generally what you're going to hear is you're going to hear sort of, oh, but, or maybe I did this differently, or here's actually how I feel. So there's going to be a back and forth. And a lot of times there's more progress made when the
Yeah.
student is actually physically there. So by all means, encourage that if that's sort of a path that you feel might make the most sense. Sometimes the conferences too are just sort of just to hear the good things, you know what I mean, like what's taking place, what's working, those sorts of things. So by all means, you're free to ask any teacher, hey, can Ryan join? Or can Donovan join? I'm looking at families.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I just didn't know if there's a thought, like, I like having it be very structured for them. Like, they've got to put some thought going into
We
the
can
conference.
look at that. I think, again, it's the beauty of Blue Ridge is it's very student specific.
Okay.
And so for some, that would be a really great setup, and for others, it might not be.
Okay.
It might just be a planning period. How can we figure out the best way to work with this particular student?
Okay, great.
They're very open. So I would say any teacher that your son has, have an open line of communication and say, what do you think is going to be the best for what you're going to be
Great.
discussing? Do you think it is to involve Ryan, or do you think it is to involve someone else?
Great. Okay, thanks.
We thought that was the way you're supposed to do it, and you always do it.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, and it works. And we've had, I mean,
Most of the teachers said, oh, it's so good to have you
Yes,
here,
yeah.
because
mhm,
then there were, several perspectives.
yeah,
We
absolutely.
didn't, I mean, he didn't lead it, but
Yeah,
it was definitely
Yeah.
useful.
it is, it is.
And then I didn't have to convey that to him, he was right there.
Yeah. But also remember too, that they're conveying that to him too. Equally, but that's a great.
Please.
Yeah, I just wanted to share my experience, because I was thinking the same thing, so thank you for bringing that up. And I actually brought it up at my first conference. Am I supposed to have Julian here?
Sure.
But in October I didn't. And what my experience this time around, which was my second time, not an expert yet, but it was really good for me to go and have an icebreaker and get debrief on both sides of, and then here I've been with Julian for 15 years, so sort of I'm thinking about deja vu, okay, and pulling it all together. And now he's a freshman going into his sophomore year. And what we decided was, I think all of us agreed that this was really great this weekend, really good conversations. I need to talk with Julian about things. And as it relates to me as his mom, not as his teacher. And then we're gonna circle back like in a week or two with a three-way, after we've all sort of thought about it, and we're all gonna meet together, maybe Zoom, or Google, or maybe in person.
So again, I think there's a lot of different ways to approach it. So I love what you just said. It doesn't have to just end today. That open line of communication can continue. All of our teachers would be happy to jump on future Zooms, future conversations, future meetings. You can reach out to them. So it doesn't just stop for today's conferences. So keep that in mind too.
Okay.
Other questions? Yeah, please, honestly.
The plan for FLC
Sure.
with
With
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Kimball.
So we do have a small number of teachers who are leaving us at the end of this year, some for retirement, others for other new opportunities. One of them is sadly Alexander Keeble, who has been with us, I believe, 8 years, director of the Fisherman Learning Center, assistant dean of academics and curriculum. He'll be some big shoes to fill for sure. First of all, I'll say that I've been here 19 years. I've been through the transition of lots and lots of important and beloved teachers and administrators. We will find another one. All right, you know how important the FLC is to this school, and so we are conducting already. Have launched a nationwide search. We've had tremendous interest in that position, and so I'm really excited about maybe what new ideas a new person will bring. But we'll find ways, obviously, to celebrate Dr. Keeble's legacy in that process. He's been hugely impactful. Yeah.
I just want to say it's hugely impactful for me when he did a presentation prior to the beginning of my grandson's freshman year.
Yep.
And I hadn't had any realization that was an option. And he presented the program, he presented it very personally, like his own struggles with learning.
Yep.
I was very moved by him, and it gave me enough information to realize that was what my grandson needed.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, he is a gifted educator for sure. Yep. Please.
So I understand the ropes program, or as much as you want to tell us about the ropes program. and also I know that there is a community service. So for one of the seasons, they can do community service. But what do they do for community service?
Sure. So for those of you who aren't aware, community service is an option for your boys in each of the trimesters. Sorry, each of the seasons of the school year. And we essentially partner with a number of organizations to run daily community service activities. One example is a food delivery that we do with Feeding Green. So it's here in Greene County. We pick up food from a warehouse and deliver it to households throughout Bacon and Mutton Hollows. That's just an example. There's lots of different ways. And we're building on a fledgling partnership with Foxcroft School, where we had sort of on MLK Day, that day of service, that a number of our boys went up there to join their community service activities. We're building that as well, and maybe think about ways we can partner with them throughout the year. All right. Well, it's a beautiful day, and you guys have some time with your sons to enjoy. And certainly we'll be around if you have questions for any of us individually. But thanks so much for being here this weekend, for seeing what we're doing here on campus with your boys. And here's to a great conclusion to the school year. Thanks so much.